Looking at that picture on the screen, the lead prosecutor in this case is that's Chris Conroy, who's been at the DA's. He's a long-term assistant district attorney, and he's been there for a long time. The woman behind him is Susan Hopfinger. She's the attorney who successfully prosecuted the Trump organization and got a 17-count conviction where the opposing counsel was Susan Necklace, the woman seated to Mr. Trump's right, and then you have obviously the same judge, Judge Merchan, there.
And just to be clear, the Susan Hopfinger is the woman. The gentleman at the prosecutor's table is Chris Conroy.
Yes, the woman behind him with the black jacket and the white shirt.
Okay, that's Susan Hopfinger.
That's Susan Hopfinger sitting behind. So she's the head of the whole investigation division, which is the white-collar arm of the Manhattan DA's office. So she was a defense attorney before, and she was a prosecutor before that. And Mr. Bragg, DA Bragg, brought her back to lead his investigation division, which is it's an executive-level position, very prestigious. And like I said, she was the trial lawyer who successfully tried the case against the Trump organization and got the 17-count conviction on behalf of the office.
And Karen, who is the woman at the table with Chris Conroy to our left, his right, in the blue dress?
She's another ADA on the case who works in the Major Economic Crime Bureau. The team is going to have multiple attorneys on it, and the question is, we just didn't know who was going to be the lead lawyer, who's going to be speaking on the record. It could have been Susan Hopfinger, it could have been Peter Pope, or others who are at an executive level who are working on this case. Chris Conroy is a senior investigative counsel. He's just an ADA, I should say. He's an assistant district attorney, a very senior, seasoned, excellent lawyer who they are having be the ADA meaning assistant district attorney, who will be arraigning Mr. Trump and speaking on the record. So
the interesting context you also brought up is that Susan Hopfinger, the woman with the white shirt and black jacket sitting behind Chris Conroy at the prosecutor's table, just defeated in court the woman, Susan Necklace, in the green suit at the defendant's table right next to Donald Trump in the Trump organization case, which was a big victory for District Attorney Alvin Bragg, I believe, right?
Exactly right. 17 felony count conviction against the Trump organization.
And Carrie, go ahead.
Worth noting, though, that that case ended in fines. I mean, it was convictions, and the case was successfully prosecuted from a prosecutor's perspective, but the end result was fines for the Trump organization. I just think we have to keep that in context.
Right.
In terms of this, even though this particular proceeding today has a lot of gravity to it, and the former president is sitting there at the defendant's table, there are a lot of possible outcomes, and some of them are other than the former president ending up with a felony conviction. Some of them could potentially be something as simple as a fine.
Absolutely, and all of us should, in journalism and in the public, should be skeptical and open-minded when it comes to any accusations made by the government against any individual, and we'll see exactly what the District Attorney Alvin Bragg is proceeding with against Donald Trump when he brings this indictment forward, which we're told has been unsealed, although the public is still waiting to see it. Adam Kaufman, let me just ask you, when we're told Trump pleads not guilty to 34 counts, which is what a New York government official has told CNN, 34 counts. What does that mean? Is that 34 different felonies? Is it 34 misdemeanors? Is it one felony and 34 counts of that one felony? Translate that into public speaking for us.
Right. So we don't know. We don't know what the counts are. We know because this is a felony indictment being arraigned in Supreme Court that at least one count is a felony. If it's the falsifying business records, under New York State procedural law, every time there was a false business record, it would have to be charged as a separate count. And so it is entirely possible that it's all multiple counts, because every fake check or every fake entry in a ledger would be its own discrete count. That's another possibility. To go back to the way the arraignment probably worked, you would expect the court to simply, generally, the court will simply advise the defendant that a New York County grand jury has filed an indictment charging you with, and then they'll list the counts and then ask the defendant, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? And that's the point when Mr. Trump would have entered his plea of not guilty. But at this point, we just don't know what all of those different counts are and what the indictment contains.
And how long does it take for an indictment to go from being unsealed to posted online, especially when you have something that is of such public interest internationally?
It's surprising to me. I mean, you know, in some of the more high-profile cases that were handled when I was there, and I know Karen can also share this experience, you have it sort of teed up and ready to go. You know you have to wait for the unsealing at the arraignment, but you also have someone sort of standing by to feed that indictment out because the media is waiting for it. So I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing it yet.
Interesting. Andy McCabe, any thoughts and reactions to this? The images we're getting from inside this courtroom are just extraordinary. The annoyed, chastened Donald Trump, the reports that he has pleaded not guilty to 34 charges. We're still waiting, of course, to hear what they are.
Still waiting to hear what they are, and I would say still waiting to understand what exactly is still taking place in that courtroom, because as others have mentioned, this has really gone on, at least twice as long as any of us expected. My guess, and this is speculation, is the battling over issues and motions and scheduling has probably already begun. One of the goals that the judge will have had in this first arraignment would be to set up at least a provisional schedule of when those motions would be due. So you can imagine, we've already heard reporting from the Trump legal team that they intend to fight, I think they said, every issue related to this case. And my guess is that those battles have probably already begun behind the closed doors in 100 Center Street.
Carrie Cordero, let me ask you, the Trump defense team has already signaled that they are immediately going to make a motion to have this case dismissed, that they think it's nonsense, that they don't think these charges hold water, that it's misdemeanors, et cetera. Would they make that motion at this court appearance, or would it be for a later appearance?
Normally, I think they would take more time to be able to actually write out their motions. I mean, they could have started drafting it based on what they think was coming, but they got to really be able to look at the document. So I don't think they would make a motion to dismiss orally in front of the judge because they want to make every single possible written argument that they can in their brief. But I would expect that they would do it relatively soon. I don't think it would be during this proceeding, but soon.